Welcome back to Traffic Light Takeaways with Terrace Harris on the Pregame Network, where we break down Colorado's last game, one traffic light, one takeaway at a time. We have green, yellow, and red, three perspectives, three different points. Let's just get right into it. Before we go into the individual takeaways that I believe stuck out the most from this game, I just want to go over the game as it was overall. Obviously, a very unfortunate loss. It was just felt like one of the ever so looming examples of CU just shooting themselves in the foot. This game was very winnable. I feel like the main story heading into it was that opposed from the first sort of like 15 to 20 plays, the first like two drives, the offense didn't really do much for the rest of the game after that point to sort of help the team succeed. I feel like heading into this game, the Colorado defense was one of the more talked about points of the team because, historically throughout the season so far, there has been a struggle with stopping the run, a struggle with stopping the big gashes. And BYU is a type of team and a type of offense that is really going to just hammer it at you. It's just going to try to run the ball down the gutter. And like I just said, that was something that CU had been struggling with. But the defense did an impeccable job of limiting big plays for the most part, holding BYU's true freshman quarterback and their run game to very small gains, getting stops. It was, again, like similar to Wyoming, it was penalties that also sort of shot them in the foot, which again is something that I'll allude to later. But yeah, going back, I just think that the offense didn't do much to sort of help the defense's play out. Again, the offense had a perfect opening script. They had the Draylon Miller, who I will talk about later. They had the Draylon Miller direct snaps that were called like 4 times in a row and then like 4 more times for the rest of the game that BYU just wasn't able to stop. Stop initially, but then they were able to sort of figure those plays out or figure out the plays where you have Zach Atkins or Yaya Atia and you have him shifting over, which is going to lead into a read option or an inside run or something. And those plays worked when they worked, but then when they stopped working, they were still being called. It just looked like BYU's adjustments weren't matched by Colorado's adjustments. So yeah, there are a lot of, I guess, negatives to talk about for the offense. But leading into my green light takeaway, which is the most prevalent takeaway, I guess the most obvious takeaway, the most positive takeaway was that our offensive line play never let up through this whole game. Like I mentioned last week, Colorado's offensive line had bolstered significantly compared to the last couple of years of Deion Sanders and Coach Prime in Boulder, Colorado. It's been bolstered significantly heading into this game, and it has been put on display through these first 4 games. Yeah, 5 games. The offensive line is the embodiment of consistency for this team. And unfortunately, it's really like the only aspect of this team that has kept that consistency going. But Jordan Seaton bounced back after missing the entire second half from Wyoming. Xavier Hill, Zy Chrysler, Zarian McGill. They were working with the film department. There were multiple plays where I would see Zarian McGill kind of like he would get his foot stepped on or he bumped knees with somebody and he'd be walking back to the offensive line limping, hobbling around. Then he'll snap the ball and pancake somebody. It's like the offensive line is just, they built a great offensive line here. And you also see that in the reflection of our run game. Michael Welch, 11 carries, 67 yards. That's 6.1 yards per carry. Draylon Miller was a great feature in the backfield. On that second scoring drive, you see him take three direct snaps that all had positive yardage that lead to a score. And even Caden Salter, it doesn't really reflect in his stat line because he did have some pretty major sacks that were completely caused by him just trying to force something that wasn't there. Even Salter was getting good lanes from because of this offensive line on option plays or keepers. And I talked about them already last week, but the offensive line deserved to be highlighted again this week because of their performance, especially when you consider BYU's defensive stats. Their defense ranks top 20 in some categories, top 10 in some categories in the country when it comes to defensive stats. And so the fact that Colorado was able to have a successful run game, which is something that they're trying to make their identity against a team like BYU, is just another huge shout to the offensive line. Next up, what I believe is reading the yellow light, meaning something that can be improved and I believe will be improved, is team chemistry. Coach Prime said in his press conference after the game that he felt like the lights were too bright and that the moments were too big for some of his players. And while that is a sort of jabbing way to put things, I think that reigns true when you have a team that is constantly trying to get to know each other. The transfer portal transfer portal NIL. That's just what college football is now. Nowadays you have to utilize those things in order to have a successful football team. But obviously, when you have different people coming in from all parts of the country, all parts of the globe, we have Australians on our team. It's going to take a while for those people to mix and learn the systems, whether it's offensively and defensively. And I believe you saw that disconnect throughout the game. The best example I could think of is last year when you have a team that wins 9 games, almost makes it to the Big 12 championship, but some standing things prevented that from happening. You have Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Jimmy Horn Jr. And you see how in moments like what Colorado needed last night, for example, that 2-minute drill at the end of the game, you have to drive down the field and score. We constantly saw results out of those situations, like when you had Shedeur, Travis, and Jimmy. And that's because those guys knew each other. Those guys knew what to do and how to help each other out in those situations to drive down the field and put the team in, a good spot. And I still think that there hasn't been a connection, at least offensively, between quarterback and receiver. And I think that's partially because of the quarterback fiasco that we had to start the season out. Caden Salter starts a game, then plays like 50% of the next game, bench the game after that, and then gets a starting job back. So I just think that overall there needs to be a step up in team chemistry and just a step up in leadership from that quarterback position. And lastly, what I think is at the red light, something that needs drastic improvement based off last game heading to this game, is the fact that you had Sincere Brown and Omarion Miller, wide receiver 1A, wide receiver 1B. They had 3 targets combined throughout the whole game. Sincere Brown didn't see the ball thrown his way until I believe it was less than 5 minutes left in the game, period. That's when Sincere Brown sees the first throw to his way. And we can't have that happen, especially after Coach Prime and the offensive staff have been preaching how they want to get our wide receivers more reps, more play in the game, because we do have a dynamic receiving core. I feel like there isn't much of a drop-off as far as as far as potential production out of this wide receiver room that we had last year. But the ball just wasn't being distributed much. I mean, there were only 16 passing attempts throughout the whole game for Caden Salter. And Draylon Miller, former receiver who now appears to be more of a running back, Coach Prime said it himself. He had an amazing game, but I just think overall receiving production needed to be upped. I felt like there wasn't really much of an attempt to get it started in the first place, though. So that's just something that I think will need great improvement as we head into TCU, a team that was just ranked. They had a war against Arizona State, who will also play. We play them right after TCU. And so we have a lot of things to clean up as we, continue going through conference play. And at this point, just try to become bowl eligible. But anyways, that's it for Traffic Light Takeaways. Thank you for joining me. Stay true, stay blessed, and I'll see you in a few days.
So where y'all from?
We up from Miami, Florida.
All the way from Miami.
All the way from Miami.
Appreciate y'all coming, man.
Hey, man, we love what you guys are doing, man. We want to support you in every way.
Appreciate your family.
And we're recruiting at home. Everything we see at home, we bring it this way.
My man.
Thank
You gotta believe. Dude, we've been believing since day one,
That's
dog.
why I gave them to
Remember
you.
back in Jackson State? We've been believing with you in the pregame show.